in last video, I think you have received all that particular video on that packages. So in that packages, I have discussed in that particular video, I have discussed that how we can import different package in a current package. Okay, so I hope you have seen that particular video, because at within few minutes I will be first sharing with you two tools regarding that packages concept. Okay, I have informed Abhinav that we must listen to that particular video based on packages import part. So there are two polls based on that particular packages portion, so that I could get information that you are clear with this concepts or not. So the recent video that I have discussed regarding that packages is quite important, and most of the time in the exams you get the question like this, like how you can import different packages, what are the different ways in importing that particular package. Is it fine? Meanwhile, in the end of this particular lecture, I will just discuss with you that what syllabus you will be getting for the sessional and how to prepare for that. Okay, because as you know that most of the content, your exam will be implemented in that online way only. So maybe we will be giving, like if you are having 24 marks exam, so we will be giving most of the exam, like 15 to 18 marks of the paper will be from the this programming based paper will be given. Okay, so you need not worry about all those things. I will discuss all those things in the end of the session. And before that, what I just give you brief introduction about this exception handling. After that, I will. There was one thing that I missed in that particular video. That I just wanted to show you that how packages are being implemented, are made in your this system. So if you remember the very first lecture on that package, so we have seen that how that we get particular folder of that package on a system. Okay, so I just shared with you that particular area in which whatever, like we have used my pack 1 was there and my pack CUR current package. So we in that particular video I have used this two package. So I will tell you that when you will compile that particular program on that package, automatically your package will be automatically your folder of for that particular package is generated, and in that particular package folder you will package or a folder, you will be getting all those classes. Okay, you will be getting all those classes saved in that particular package or folder. Fine. So going to that this part, just have a brief view of that exception handling. So exception is what? Many times we have heard this word exceptions. So exceptions is just this is one of the most powerful feature of Java that is used to handle the runtime errors. So you just remember one thing, that what makes Java so powerful is that because it provides you the privilege to handle all those runtime errors. That is with the help of the exception handling. Okay, so why we many times we use the word error, compile time error, runtime errors, and so on. Okay, so on. So basically, what happens when an error occurs, you cannot proceed further. Okay, you cannot execute unless you will remove that particular error in that case. But in case of an exception, exception is not like that of error. It is what this, it will help you to maintain the normal flow of the application. Okay, so if there is any type of exception, you feel like that it may occur in your program, you can handle that particular thing so that that normal flow of your execution doesn't get halted in between. This is the purpose of the exception handling. Basically, in Java, we have three types of exception. One is your check, another one is your unchecked, and the third one is your error portion. So we include error also one of the type of an exception. But what is there that we cannot handle that particular error portion and it will not allow you to proceed further. Okay, so checked exception or something like that, that how we can handle all those things. Because like input exception is there, SQL exception is there, that comes under the checked exception. Similarly, we have a unchecked exception that are not checked at the compile time, and we will handle that at the run. So this is arithmetic exception, null point exception, and array index out of bounds exception. So all these are the unchecked exceptions. Similarly, we have errors. Errors is like we have a out of memory error. So that has to be handled, because if you don't have that memory virtual machine error, like we are using JVM over here, so yeah, we have the error for this virtual machine error. Clear? So we will discuss all those things with the help of a program one by one, and after that we will go to that how we can use this particular thing, how exceptions are handled, what are the different ways to include all those exceptions in a. Okay, so I just start before starting this exception portion. I just discussed with you that about the packages.
मैम
So
बोर्ड
the
नहीं दिख रहा.
नहीं बोर्ड मैंने अभी बंद की है. So I just want to share my screen with you. Hello student. I just show you that in that packages portion we have created some two packages were there. Like this was the package. So if you have seen that my particular video, in that particular package we have created this two package. So one is your IM pack one, okay, in which I have used that first class. If you have gone through my video, you will able to understand this is my package and this is the class. So meanwhile I was having only single class in that particular package, that's why there is only single class available in this particular package. Similarly, in this current package, what was there? That was a second class. Okay, so this is the second class that was belong to the that belongs to that current package. Okay, so these are the simple things. When you will compile that particular package program, you can see that automatically at the back end you will be your package will be created in the form of a folders. Okay, so you can see now this was the whatever the examples that we have done, that was based on the single class. But it may be possible that in future you want to create some package and you have multiple classes with that particular package. Okay, so all those classes will be available in that particular current package. Clear? So I will just start with that particular thing, and I just before that I just share my video sorry first poll based on that packages. So I'm going to launch that poll based on packages, kindly see to it. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੋਂ delete ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ. Okay, students, there is one information for you. If any of you haven't submitted your fees, so kindly just leave this meeting because you that student is not allowed to attend that session. So kindly see to it if there should not be any pending student who is joining this session. Okay, students, I am going to end this poll. Okay, so I just share that results with you. Okay, now see the very first question is that which of these is a mechanism for naming and visibility the control of class and its content. Okay, so many times students get confused with the word this objects and interfaces, but most of you, almost everyone has given the right answer. That is packages. So we use packages. Why we require these packages? That are used for both naming and visibility control mechanism, so that when we define a particular class inside a package, okay, so which is not accessible by code outside that package. Okay, so this is how we can name and provide visibility control of a class and its content by with the help of a package. Second question was that which of these access specifier can be used for a class so that its member can be accessed by a different class in the different package. So we this is one thing that you must remember, that we must use the concept of public over here. Okay, so this is a public field only that will help you so that to assess a particular class outside a different by a different class outside a different package. Okay, so this is how we use the concept of this public access specifier. Fine. So there is a next poll that again is based on this packages part. So I'm going to launch that second poll based on that importing packages. Yes, Abhinav.
Ma'am, please unlock the meeting as some students are not able to join.
Okay, this is 10:22. They must have joined before.
मैम देर इज़ वन इशू टू समटाइम कई बार क्या होता है हमारा जो प्रॉब्लम होता है नेटवर्क इशू तो जब हम दोबारा कनेक्ट करने लगते हैं तो मीटिंग लॉक की वजह से वो दोबारा भी कनेक्ट नहीं करता है.
Chalo, okay, I have unlocked the meeting. Tell them to join
यस मैम.
fast. Okay.
थैंक यू सो मच मैम.
Okay, students, I am going to end this poll. Okay. So you can see that results. I am sharing that results with you. So the very first question was that which of the following is the correct way of importing an entire package? Okay, that is PKG. So if you have gone through that particular video, so you have noticed that but like we use like this import keyword package. This is a package name dot star. Okay, so it is not like capital I. It is a small I. Okay, so you must get notice about this particular thing that it is import package dot star. Next question is that does using import package class name in place of that import package dot star has any impact on the size of a generated class? No, it doesn't have any impact on that size. Why so? Because import is just an instruction to the compiler. Okay, it does not have any impact on the size of the generated class file. So this thing you must rectify or must clear in your mind. Like as most of the student have given the answer in the form of a yes, no. But import doesn't has any type of impact on the generated class. Clear? So okay, with this after that we will start with the new topic that is regarding this exception handling. So so what is an exception? So what is an exception over here that we have already discussed? That exception handling in Java is one of the important features to handle the runtime errors so that the normal flow of the application can be maintained. So this is how we can use this particular thing that exception handling is one of the way that by which we can handle the runtime errors. So an exception is an event that disrupts the normal flow of the program. So what is an exception? Basically, exception is type of event means anything that is prompting you. So it what will do? It will thus disrupt the normal flow of the program. So it is basically an object which is thrown at runtime. This is also the second point that you must understand that exception is basically a object which is thrown at the runtime. So exception handling is a mechanism by which we can handle the runtime errors. Like we have a class not found, input output exception is there, SQL exception is there, remote exception is there, and you can just so you can just handle all those things using the exception handling concept. Okay. Now the next thing is that what will be the benefit of using this exception handling? That we require this exception handling to maintain the normal flow of the application. So how we can handle this particular so that we can just have the normal flow of the application. It doesn't halt our program. It will not wait for any type of a event to occur. It can just be handled by itself by the compiler, and we can further move towards our application. So no, an exception normally disturbs the normal flow of the application. That is why we use the concept of the exception handling. Okay. Next is that so these are the types of exceptions. So you just remember this diagram or just take a screenshot of this particular thing that we have a main class over here that is a throwable class. Okay. So in that throwable class, we define all those exception in form of two methods. One is your exception, another one is your error. Okay, so exception may we have IO exception is there, SQL exception is there, class not found. Okay, and we have some runtime exception. In that runtime exception, we have arithmetic, null pointer, number format. We will discuss all these exception in one or the another way through our programs. So don't get confused, just make this diagram very much clear in your mind, that each and every exception in our Java that belongs to one class, that is a throwable class. So in that throwable class, again we have two classes, that is exception and error, to whom different exception belongs to that particular one. Okay, like in exception we have a IO, SQL, arithmetic, so on. Okay, so index out of bound is there, string index out of bound exception is there. So this is how we can use this particular. Now the next thing that is important over here, that is the types of Java exceptions. So basically we have three types of Java exception. Okay, so we also consider error as one of the unchecked exception. But according to Oracle, there are three types of exception, that is checked exception, unchecked exceptions, and the error. Okay, so this is how we can use this particular thing, that is checked, unchecked, and the error over here. So what is the checked exception? So checked exception is that the classes which directly inherit throwable class. Okay, so directly, if you see this particular diagram, if you see this particular diagram over here, like what checked exception is that directly inherit this throwable class. So it will be directly inheriting the throwable class except for that error portion and the runtime exception. Like this particular error and this particular runtime exception. All classes, all exception will come under this unchecked exception. All exception will come under this checked exception. Okay, so the classes which directly inherit throwable class except the runtime exception and the error will come under as the checked exception. Okay, so you, I think with this diagram you are clear with this particular thing. So all those exceptions except the runtime exception like this and this error portion will come under the checked exception over here. Okay, next is that what is unchecked exception? The classes which inherit runtime exception are known as unchecked exception. So this particular portion, okay, this particular portion of your diagram will come under your unchecked exception. Now what is the second difference over here is that the checked exception occurs at the compile time. Okay, so this is at the compile time. This is that we need to check this particular exception during the compile time. Okay, so unchecked exception are not checked at compile time, but they are checked at the runtime. This is the second main difference of this unchecked exception. Clear? Next is the error. Error is irrecoverable. Okay, so we need to sort out the problem of this error. Why so? Because we have a memory issues over here. We have a virtual machine over here. Assertion error is there. So these are the sometimes such type of errors that need to be sorted out before moving further in your application. Okay, so that thing are irrecoverable. You have to make recovery by default, or implicitly recovery should be there in order to proceed to the current application of any tool. Clear? Next is the, this is again a very important part, so you will able to understand all those things that are related to the exception in this Java language. So you just understand that how we can handle all those exceptions. So in order to handle all those exceptions, we have basically 5 keywords. Remember the word keywords. So these are some of the special words, okay, that we use for the handling of exceptions in Java. So anytime when you see this type of a words, when you see this type of a keywords, that means that particular process is handling the exception in your code. Clear? Like we have a try. Try keyword is there. What is try? Try is just to check. Try is used to specify a block where we should place the exception to. So what basically try will do? It will just specify a block, okay, where we should place that exception code. This is a try. Try means that we are trying something. We are just checking something if there is any type of an error. Okay, the try block must be followed by either catch or find. So whenever you are writing a try block, it should be followed by either the catch block or the find. So it means that we cannot use this try block alone. So this thing must be very much clear in your mind. So the very first keyword that is important, that is try. So try is anything that is used to specify the block. Okay, that is used to specify the block where we should place our code. Okay, which type of a code where we feel like that there could be any type of a exception. So we will, in order to check that particular part of the code, we keep that code under the try block. Clear? Next is that a try block must be followed by either a catch or the finally. So it means we can't use try block alone. Second keyword is a catch. So what is this catch? Catch block is used to handle the exception. Okay. Try means that is trying for, that is checking for any type of exception. It is just have a check on that particular exception. Catch is what? That will handle that exception. Now let's suppose if there is any type of a exception in the try block. So who will handle it? That will be the catch block. So catch block is used to handle the exception. It must be preceded by a try block, which means we can't use catch block alone. Okay. Similarly, we cannot define again if we use only the catch keyword, there is no purpose of using that catch keyword. Catch will be always used simultaneously with the try block. It can be followed by finally block later. So finally is also one of the another keyword. So we can use that. It can be followed by the finally block in that particular catch. Next is that throw exception. Oh, sorry, finally is there. So finally is what? This is a block which is used to execute the important code of the program. It is executed whether an exception handled or not. So it will see that finally, if there is any important code in the program that you need to implement, that you need to execute, okay, so it will be that finally block that will run. So it is not concerned with the exception handling or not. Okay, so either if there is any exception, either you handle that exception or not. Finally, block has to run for that code. Is it clear? So you must remember this particular thing. Like before that, finally, if you remember, we have already done two keywords related to this final word. We have a final keyword and we have a finalized keyword. Okay, so you must remember all these terms. Sometimes in exam, it may be asked that what is finally, final, and finalized. So most of the time, this type of a question may come in the exam. Final, finally, and the finalized. So finally block. What is this finally block? It is always linked up with the exception. So why we require this finally block? Just to execute the important code of the program. We are not concerned with whether that exception is being handled or not, but that finally block will always in the running mode. We have to run that particular finally block over here. Okay, next is a throw. Throw keyword is used to throw an exception. Throw means just to remove it. So we use that throw keyword over here to run, which is used to throw an exception. Next we have a throws. The throws keyword is used to declare the exception. It doesn't throw the exception, but it will declare that an exception. Okay, so it may specify that there may be an exception in the code and we can use that proper signature over here, that how we can handle that particular. Okay, so this is how we can use this throw, that there may occur an exception in the method. So it is always used with the method signature. Okay, we will discuss all these things in in quite detailed form with the help of a program. Okay, now the next thing is that now we will start with the program part. So the very first program is the try catch. Okay, so you can see over here. Okay, so this is a simple try catch program. What we are doing over here, like we are generating, we have used this keyword try. Okay, so what we know that this type of a error could be there. We are dividing something with 0. Okay, so obviously it may sometime throw a particular exception over here. What type of any type of exception that are related with the calculation portion, that will come under the arithmetic exception. Okay, So that all type of exception may occur in the form of a arithmetic exception. So let's suppose we have a data over here and we use this 50 divided by 0. Okay, so this is an exception. We are trying this particular block over here. Okay, so again there is a catch. So we always use the word catch with the try block. Okay, we in that catch block we have to define the particular class to which that particular exception belongs. Okay, so in my case, what type of exception I am having, that is a arithmetic exception. Okay, this is a class and this is the object over here. So this class will be responsible to handle this particular type of an exception. That is known as a arithmetic exception. Clear? So what will happen? It will just print that what type of exception would be there, and we can just after this particular try and catch portion, after this particular where we are testing a particular code over here, and even we are handling that code, okay, exception code over here, we can simply run the rest of the code. This is how we can use this try catch, or this is the first thing that why we require this exception line. Okay, so you simply see over the, like we have used Java C, try, catch, one dot Java. Okay, just wait for a while. Okay, so you can see the output over here. Okay, so you can see this is the output. This is a Java dot lang dot arithmetic exception that is divided by 0. So this particular SOP will declare you that this type of exception is there. Okay, so that will be the that this type of exception is there, and in the end your rest of code will be we can print that rest of the code, or we can implement our rest of code. Now you see, if I don't use this particular thing, what will happen? Okay, so let's suppose I am not using anything like this. So what do you think, what will happen? I am not using, I am not handling this type of a code. So you can see over here that again I will compile this particular program. Okay, so you can see over here that there is an exception. Okay, it will tell you that exception is there, but your rest of code is not implemented. Okay, you can see over here that this particular line is not printed after this. Why so? Because we know that obviously compiler will check all those things in the code. Okay, it will tell you that some exception is there, but you are not supposed to move further. You have to handle that particular thing, or you have to rectify your code. So this is the purpose of the exception handling, that you, when you are using the concept of exception handling, this will be the duty of the particular exception handler to handle that particular exception by its own in the program itself, so that it cannot disrupt your normal flow of execution. So you can see that this rest of code is not generated over here. It is not printed because there is no doubt at the compile time there is no problem. But when you run this particular program, you can see that you won't be able to run your rest of the code. So you need to handle this type of a error in order to have the normal flow of execution in the program. So I think you are clear with this particular part. So if you're clear with this particular thing, kindly raise your hands, because this thing has to be fitted in your mind in a very simple way, that why we require this exception. Okay, so will be no errors, there will be no compiler error will be there when you are not using that exception. But what it will do, it will disrupt your normal flow of execution. Is it clear? So this is how we can use what is the benefit of using this try catch over there. Clear? Now the next thing is that, okay, now the next thing is that how we can there are some variations in the program that we can use in this try catch. Okay, so I have made different codes on that, and there are different variations or the assumptions that we can include. Okay, students, your class in charge was here, and who was Param sir has told me that there were some students who have some loan issues. So you kindly don't get panic now. We have removed you. So what you can do that Abhinav, you just inform them, Abhinav Kashar, you just inform them afterwards that they should WhatsApp me their number or that roll number, so that I can talk to HOD sir about their this particular lecture. Okay. So that thing you inform them afterwards, and you just give me their roll numbers, so that in future I don't mark them or don't remove them from the meeting. Okay. Now, students, there are so many programs. I just request you that you just listen to and just see to this very carefully. There are somehow we can say that different variations in the program. This is how we can use all this concept of exception handling. Okay, now the very first case is that we will see that if we have any remaining code in the try block. Okay, so if we have any exception in try block, whatever the code will be there after that particular this exception, like this is a place where you are getting some particular exception. So if exception occurs, then the remaining statements in the try block will not run. Clear? What I'm trying to say that if you have, this is how whatever the programs that I will now discuss related to the try catch, this is how we can use all those things. Okay, so these are some of the rules, you can say that these are some of the methods you can, these are some of the points you need to notice in your mind while using the concepts of exceptional handling in your programs. So the very first thing is that you need to understand is that you can write this also side by side, that any statement, if you are writing any statement, if there is a in the try block, after that particular exception has occurred, you that particular statement will not run. Clear? So this is the thing that you must notice. Like I will execute this particular program, you can see to it. Like we have Java, C, and this is a try catch sweep. Okay, like this. So the very first assumption is that the very first point that you need to notice that is that if there is any type of a exception occur in the try block, after that particular statement, no other statement will be executed. Okay, so no other statement will be executed in that particular case. You can see over here, like we have Java. We will run this particular try catch 3 program, and you can see over here. See, this is a Java dot. This particular exception is there. You are not able to execute this particular statement. Rest of the code. Okay. So inside the try block, in the previous program, you have noticed that we have used this particular statement over here. Or again, I will tell you that let's suppose I am using this particular statement again over here. Rest of code I just highlight after catch. Okay. So I just implement this particular thing. Okay, so you can see this is the exception and rest of the code after this. Anything can be, anything you can implement after this particular try catch. But in the try case, try block, if there is any type of an exception, then remaining statements in that particular after that particular statement will not be executed. Clear? So that's why your particularly this code is not executed after the after it receives some exception in that particular tribe. Clear? Now the this program this is the first we can say that this is the first point that we need to notice about this try first. Okay. Now the next thing is that here is another part. Everything I have mentioned in that video, this PPT also, but I am just directly implementing all this code so that you able to understand it. Okay. Now there is another thing is that we can handle the exception by using the exception class. Okay. So in the previous program you have noticed that we have mentioned over here that what type of exception is this. So now there are, as we know that anything related to the arithmetic operation like division, what basic problem is that is the division part, no? So we have mentioned over here arithmetic exception E, but there could be some chance there are so many exceptions in the Java. So it's not necessary that we will remember the name for each type of an exception. It is difficult also to remember the names of each and every exception in Java language. So what we can do that we can directly handle the exception by using the parent class exception. Now what is a parent class over here? That as you know that we are handling the unchecked exception. So for that particular case, what is the exception? A parent class is there. That is the exception. Okay, that is exception class name. So if you forget that particular thing, you can also see this in your diagram that we have in this particular diagram. You can see that we have a parent class over here, exception class. Okay, so this is also inheriting all those this throwable class, but basically which parent class, immediate parent class is the exception class. So that's why what we will do that we can directly use this parent class so that we are not concerned about that what type of exception is. We don't have to remember names for any type of exception. Okay, so there could be some situation if you in which you don't remember the names. At that time you can handle the exception by using the exception class. So again there will be no change in the code, but you can still just tell just see the execution of this particular program. Like we have Java C and my program name is try catch 4, and I just implement this particular thing. Okay, so I'm just compiling this particular program. Okay, so you can have like this. So you just write 4 over here. Okay, so see. So obviously you see you haven't mentioned that what type of a exception is this. Okay, you haven't used this word arithmetic exception divided by 0. So it will automatically tell you. There will be no change. Okay, you can directly define the parent class. It will automatically tell you that what type of exception is occurring in your program. That is like this. Okay, and rest of the code will be implemented. Is it clear? Kindly raise your hand if you are clear with these two. We can say that important thing regarding this particular exception part, because I'm just discussing all those things because these are the just starting thing of and I must tell you this exception handling is one of the most important thing in the Java language. Okay, why it is important? Because many times when you create a complex projects or when you work on the bigger projects, so there are chances that lot of errors there is chances for occurring of lot of errors. So what you will do, you cannot rectify each and every error at the same time. So you provide, this is one of the powerful mechanism you can handle all those things. Clear? So this is how we can use this exception. Okay, exception class. Now there is a third point also. This is another one point that you need to notice, that we can display the custom message. Okay, so you have seen over here that whatever the exceptions that is coming over here, like java.lang arithmetic exception. So this is the by default, the according to that particular exception what message has to be displayed. So what we have used, we have just mentioned over here that SOP E. If you remember the previous code, we have written SOP E, but we can also change the custom message. So this is how we can display the custom message over here. You can write anything under this SOP. So if you directly write that E over here, it will tell you that what type of a error it is. By default, what message that has been saved according to that particular exception. Okay. So in this particular program, we able to understand that we can also change the particular message. Okay. So you can see over here that when you will run this particular thing, try catch like my program is try catch. Okay, so when I will run this particular program, okay, so what is there? Can't divided by 0. But previously, what type of error it was coming? Okay, so what can we do over here that we can directly write the custom message over here. Clear? So this is can't divided by 0. Clear? So this is how we can give the custom message. This thing is clear to you that we can display. I think this is the by default message. Okay. You can also change your message like this, like this. That is can't divided by 0. This is another point that you must notice. Clear? Now the next thing over here. Now again, this is another part. Now what this particular code is telling to you that we can resolve the exception in the catch block. Now let's suppose till now what we are doing, we are just saying that this particular block of code may have error. Okay, and we are handling that okay, so if you are handling all those things, okay, you can handle that particular exception in your catch block also. So meanwhile, what we have discussed, we have just defined that this type of exception is there. Sometimes we are directly mentioning the class, sometimes we are directly mentioning the parent class, and in the third case, we have discussed that we can create the custom message. Okay, but now there could be some situation that like if like in your projects you have sometime you may feel like that there could be some exception over there, and you can handle that particular exception in the catch block itself. Okay, now in my case you can see that when I will divide anything by 0, that is 50 divided by 0, it will obviously throw you an exception. But what I will do, if some user in unknown, it can see that okay, if some exception is there, you can handle it like this. Now 50 divided by 2 is fine, that is not any type of an exception. So you can handle that exception, or you can resolve that particular exception in the catch block itself. Okay, so it is not like that catch block is just displaying that what type of exception it is. It can also resolve the exception in, you can also resolve the exception in the catch block. So I will show you that execution. So again I will implement this particular code. So you can see over here that we have 6.java. Okay, you can see when you run this particular program, what is SOP? There is no type of an error. There was an exception, but you have handled that particular exception by resolving that particular thing in the catch. So you can get that answer over here. Is it clear? So these are some of the code snippets that I am discussing with you. You can just you can just explore yourself after doing so many changes in these codes. But I must say that you must go for this exceptional handling concept in a very, we can say, interesting way, so that you can use all these concepts in your projects. Okay, so this is how we can use, how we can resolve that exception in the catch block. Clear? Okay, so this was again that how we can handle that particular, this resolve that particular exception in the catch block. Now, this is the next code in which we are generating the exception in the catch block. Now, there is also a privilege that we can generate the exception in the catch block. So we can also generate the exception in the catch block also. So what you can see over here, that usually we are saying that we can test a code in the try block. Okay, and we handle that particular code exception, the code that is in order to handle that exception by using the catch block. Okay, but there is also a way that we can also generate the exception in the catch block. Okay, so you can see over here what type of a output. Just see, go through this particular program to see what output will come over here. It will show you some two messages or what. Just think about that before. Meanwhile, I just execute this particular program. So just you can just explore that what particular answer you will be getting for this type of a code, in which you are handling, you are both throwing the exception both in the try block and in the catch block. Okay, so why I am discussing all these codes with you, so that you can you just get familiar with all these types, that how we can write this particular code of exception. Okay, so you can see that there is an exception, try catch me. Okay, so you can see over here that it can just telling you that this particular type of exception is here. Clear? So in both the cases, my exception is same. So that's why it is closing you the single exception only. It's not like that every time it will tell you that which particular area you are getting that exception. Okay, so it can tell you directly which particular place you are getting that exception. Clear? So the next thing is that this was all about that we can handle that exception in the catch program. I know that there must be some questions coming into your mind, that what type of, if we do use a different exception, that what will you just go through, you just implement all those exceptions, because programming is such type of a subject that you cannot just complete, you cannot finish all those things in a one single code. Okay, you just keep on exploring all those things, but I am just providing you the best of the best, that how we can use all these codes in the exception type. Okay, so in this particular code, source code, what we able to understand, that we can throw exception in the try block also, and we can throw exception in the catch block also. Okay, now again, there is another program like this. Now what is there that we can also handle, we can handle generated exception with different exception class. So whether, first of all, in first program what we have done, like in this particular code, what we have understood, that we can handle any exception with any type. Okay, we can handle any generated exception with different exception class. So in first program what we have done, we have directly mentioned that this is the type of a arithmetic exception. Okay, so meanwhile, the very first program is that we were directly mentioning that this exception is of the type arithmetic exception, and we have defined that arithmetic exception over here. Second time we have discussed that if you don't remember the names of the exceptions, or if you don't know that what type of exception it is, you can directly write the parent exception, that is the exception class. Okay, now the third case is that you can handle any particular exception, any generated exception, okay, with a different class, with a different exception class. Like in this particular case, I don't know exactly, I don't know that the name of this particular exception is arithmetic. So, but I know about this array index out of bound exception. So what do you think? What will happen? It will generate array index out of bound or it will give you the arithmetic exception? Okay. Now you see this array index out of bound exception is somehow different. Okay. It is not related with this particular exception. Okay. So we can see over here that we have Java C. Okay. So I just implement this particular code, that is, you just think upon that what error you will come, what output you will get in this particular case if you are using some another name for the exception. Okay, but whatever the exception you mention over here, either you mention the parent class, either you mention some different exception, but compiler will give you the right answer for that particular exception. Okay, so you must see over here that compiler has given you the answer, that is, it is a arithmetic exception. Either you mention it or not, either you use a parent class exception, either you mention some another different type of exception, but it will tell you that what basically exception is the. Okay, so this is the how, these are the different variants in which we can use this concept of the this array using the try catch flow. Now we can, now meanwhile we have just discussed about this particular exceptions only, that is arithmetic exception. Now I will show you one some another exception, that is array index out of bound exception. Okay, so what is an array index out of bound exception? When you are giving, when you are printing something that is more than that the given size of an array. Like here over you can see that the what is the size of array? It is 4, but you are printing some printing the element of that array at the 10th position, which is not possible because your array size is over here is a 4 size. So this type of a exception is what array index out of bound exception. Okay, so what type of exception it is? This is array index out of bound exception that you can use over here. Okay, so simply you can see that when I will run this particular program, so you can see the output. Okay, so you can see that index 10 is out of bound for the length 4. So this is the type of a one of the another array exception, that is array index out of bound. But your rest of code is also executed over here. Okay, so this is all about that this try catch block, that how we can use this try catch block. And I just move back to my PPT. So you can see that we have all everything mentioned in this particular slide. Okay, so we have some of the types of an exceptions, like arithmetic exception are there. Okay, so a scenario where arithmetic exception occurs, if you divide any number by zero, then it occurs a arithmetic exception. Okay, a scenario where null pointer exception. So null pointer is what? If we have a null value in a variable, okay, and we want to perform any operation on that variable, we'll throw a null pointer. Null pointer exception, like here. You can see that we have given null value for s, and we are measuring the length of that particular this variable, that is s. So it will give you the null pointer exception. Okay. Similarly, we have a number format exception is there. So like we have a string variable that has characters, and we are converting this variable into digit. We create the number format. Format means we are changing the number format. Then is the array index out of bound array, in which if you are inserting any value in the wrong index, or you are displaying something like in my case. So in that particular case, what we are that we have total 4 elements, and I was printing the elements at the 10th position. So that's why there is a array index out of bound exception. So array index out of bound exception usually come along with that array expression. Okay, so it comes along with the array expression. So this is the catch block. We have already discussed how many programs in that. So we use try block is used to enclose the code that might throw an exception. So it must be used within the method. This is the thing that you must remember. So if an exception occurs at the particular statement of a try block, then the rest of the code will not be executed. So we have already done all those things in through our program. So you also remember that Java try block is followed by the catch or try. Okay. So similarly, you can see over here there is a try keyword. Okay, whatever the code that you think that they may throw an exception, and there is a catch keyword over here, which we refer the exception class name. Like we can use exception, that is the parent class, or we can directly mention the name of that exception class. Okay, and the reference variable is used. Okay, similarly we have a try finally block. Like here we will discuss this finally block in detail. And in this Java catch block, what we can do that we can have Java catch block is used to handle the exception by declaring the type of a exception within the parameter. So what we do that catch block is used to handle the exception. Either we can declare the type of exception, or we can solve that particular exception that we have already discussed. Okay. So we have parent class exception, or the generated exception type. So catch block is always used after the try block. We can have multiple catch block with a single try block. So this thing you also remember over here. We will also discuss program related to this, that we can have multiple catch blocks within the single try block. Clear? So we will discuss one of this example. So all these things we have done through the program. Now this is the internal working of the Java try class block. Okay, so we can see that what is the internal working of the Java type catch block. So this is the internal working of your Java try catch block. So what will happen? Now you have seen we have done so many codes. We have checked so many codes in the try block. Okay, so what happens that when our compiler analyze that particular code, okay, so an object of the exception class is thrown. So as you know that we have used that e over here, exception class. We have created the object for that particular exception. So what will happen? This is the duty of the object of the exception class to go through that particular code. So what will happen? That an object of the exception class is thrown, that is with the help of an exception object. It will see that that particular exception is handled or not. Okay. So if it is a handle, if that particular exception is handled, then what will happen? Your rest of the code will be executed. So that means if you are handling that particular exception, there is no there is no disruption in the execution of the code. So there is no disruption in the execution of that particular code. Okay. So if you don't handle that particular exception, then what will happen? It will pass that information to the JVM, JVM will print out the exception description. It will tell you that this type of exception is there. It will tell you the stack trace that in this place that particular exception will be there, and it will terminate the program. Okay, it will not execute the rest of the code. It will just terminate the program because there is no fun of executing that particular program. Because unless and until you don't handle that particular exception, so you cannot proceed further in that. So this is how, what is the internal working of this Java try catch. Okay. So many time in exams it may ask you that how this Java try catch block is implemented. So you can tell over it. Okay. Now in this particular case, the JVM first checks whether the exception is handled or not. Okay. So if it is not handled, then JVM will provide a default exception handler. And what will be the working of that default exception handler? That it will print out the exception description. Okay, so it will tell you the stack trace that where that particular exception has occurred, and it will finally causes the program to terminate. But if exception is handled by the application program, normal flow of the application is maintained. So you don't need to pass all those things. You can implemently without any disruption. You can execute that particular codes over. Yeah. So before moving to this Java multiple catch option, I just want to share with you another poll, that is poll 3. So you just be ready for that poll, which is based on this exception. Okay. So I'm just sharing that poll with you. Okay, students, hurry up. I will give you another 5-10 seconds. Okay, students, I am going to end this poll and I am sharing results with you. So obviously the very first question is that which of these keywords must be used to monitor the exception. So either it is catch, try, or that finally. So we use this word that is try. Okay. So we have a this try keyword that is used to monitor for the exception. Monitor means that will check that is there any type of an exception is the true. So try is the right answer and most of the students have given the right answer. Another thing is that what will happen if you write this particular thing, then what do you think that what will be there? So that it will be compiled, but it will throw you the arithmetic exception. So when you implement this particular program also, you can see that it will compile, but it will simultaneously it will throw the arithmetic exception also there. Okay. So this is was all about that this particular poll, and now I will start with the this Java catch multiple statements. Okay, so we can have that how we can use this Java catch multiple exception is there. So multi catch is what? Multi catch means meanwhile we have just discussed that we have a one single try block and one catch block. Okay, so multi catch block. What is that multi catch block? That we can have different catch blocks for the single try block. Okay, so a try block can be followed by one or more catch block. Okay, so it is not like that every time a try block will have a single catch block. There could be some situation like we are in a doubt that what type of exception is there. Okay, so every type of exception we have a different way to solve that particular exception. So what we will do that we will use that multiple catch block with the single try block only. Okay, so if you have to perform different tasks at the occurrence of different exception, we can use multiple catch. Okay, so we are not sure about that what type of exception is this, and we can have with that particular block we can have a multi catch block so that we can use that okay, so we can solve that it, but for what basically you need to remember that at a time only one exception occurs. So at a time only one catch block will be executed. This thing you must remember in your block. Either you have a single catch block or you have a multiple catch block. But when your exception will occur, at that time only single catch block is responsible to execute. It is not like that if you are having five catch blocks and then you have to run that particular that multiple catch block will be executed. Only single catch block that is according to that particular type of an exception will be executed. So all catch block must be ordered. This is another point. You must remember that all catch block must be ordered from most specific to the most general. Okay. So most specific to most general means that specific means specifically you define. Like if there is a arithmetic exception, there could be a chance that you may you can define some of the exception. Then that this is arithmetic exception. Okay. So if you are not sure, you can define the exception. Simply you can define the exception class. So most specific to most general. General matlab when you are not sure, you are giving a one or the another way. Like we have used exception class when we were not sure. Specific is what? When you exactly know that this particular class will handle this type of exception. Okay, so that is catch for the arithmetic exception must come before the catch for the exception. Okay, so you can see this example also that catch for arith exception must come before the exception clause. So arithmetic exception is your specific and exception is your most general. Clear? So now I will take the example of one program. So this is the program you can see over here that we are trying a particular code in this particular code. Now in this code what will happen? There are two type of exception. Okay, we are sorry, we are handling this particular exception. What type of exception is there? That we are in this particular location that is at the 5. We are divided that value. We are dividing that value that is 30 divided by 0. Now you can see over here that you have a arithmetic exception also, like you are dividing something. You have a array index out of bound of exception also. Okay, so we have this type of exception, and then you have the exception E. So you are specifying from the most, you are defining catch blocks from the most specific to the general form. Specific पहला तो ये आपको यही लगता है ना कि this type of a exception is there, that you are dividing something. Okay, now another you may feel like that there could be array index out of bound exception also, because you are using the concept of arrays also, and in that particular location you are dividing that particular thing. Or if you are not unsure about any of the above exception, you can generally define that I don't know what type of exception it is. Okay, so this is the parent exception. Now just think upon that what error will occur over here, what output you will get. So meanwhile I just execute, just brush up your mind that what type of a error could be there. We have that multi. So when I will run this program, you can see. Okay, now see, only single exception is there. Arithmetic exception occurs. This code will be generated. Okay, and you cannot change the series. This is also I have one program based on that. If you feel like I will change that series, that is not possible. Okay, so let's see what will happen if I use this particular thing under this part. So I've just changed the series of both this. This is the specific part, just to check that what will happen. Okay, then you can go over here. Like again, I will run this program. We first of all compile this code. See, so what basic exception is the arithmetic exception. So it will not include this type of an exception. Okay, so either you mention it above or not. Then you can see over here. Now see what happened if I use all this term before this exception class. Now exception class is the this exception class is the most generalized form. So what will happen if I write all these things, or I use this particular thing into X? So this particular this arithmetic exception was the most, we can they say that specific one. So just see to it, like if this type of error is there, then what will happen? Okay, so now you can see that I have changed the series. Okay, how series has been changed, like I am mentioning over here, catch exception is when we use this exception class when you don't know about the exception. Okay, so this is the when you don't know about the name of the exception, you don't know what type of exception it is, then you use only the exception class. Then I have mentioned the array index out of bound, then I have mentioned the arithmetic exception over here. So you can see that what output will come over here. See, it will not respond to you this because you can see over here that arithmetic as exception because you haven't mentioned the series over here. You cannot define the catch blocks in this way. Like in order to use this catch block, what you need to specify that you have to specify the most specific one. Like this, we can see that 30 divided by 0 almost will be arithmetic exception. Okay, that is another case. If you don't know the exception, you are directly writing the exception there. Okay, then you have to mention the array index out of bound. Then you have to mention the this exception. That is the most general form. Okay, understood. So we have used three exception over here. And what is the rule for that mentioning the multi-catch block? That you have to mention the most specific one, the very first. After that, you have to mention the most general one. Okay, so these are the three catch block: one, two, three. One is the most specific. Specific matlab specifically you are defining. You know that this type of error is there. Journal is that when you're not sure. This is your journal type. When you are directly mentioning the class name, that is the exception. Is it clear? Now I will move towards another program, that is like here also you can see that like we have this type of error, and we are now see two exceptions are there in this particular code. You can see one exception is that arithmetic exception, you are dividing with 0. Another is that you are printing some value that is at A10, which is not possible because my the last series is number is the 5. So we have a arithmetic exception, index out of bound, and the exception. Now what do you see? What will happen? In this case, what will happen? Both the message will occur. You will get both arithmetic of conception of this arithmetic exception and array index out of bound. No, it will handle only one catch at a time. What will happen? It will handle only one catch at the time. So you just see to it. I just clear this particular screen, and you see that I am implementing this particular program. That is Java C multi catch only one dot Java. You can give it any name. This is for just my use. I have given such type of a name. So you can write like this. So I just compile this code. Okay. There are no errors. Now see what will happen at the runtime. When you have more than one exception in the single code. Now how it will be get solved. See, it will handle only the single exception. It will handle that particular exception that will come first. So the very first exception was your arithmetic exception. Clear? So this is also one of the rule that in the try catch block, multi-catch block, you cannot execute two catch blocks at the same time. Only one catch block will be executed. Is it fine? You can execute only one catch block at a time. This is the first rule. Second is rule is that when you are mentioning different catch blocks, like here also you again see, we have a three catch blocks over here. You have to define that catch blocks from the most specifically, like you were sure at that case that arithmetic exception is there. Then is your array index out of bound like this, and in the end you are not sure, you just write the exception over. Clear? I hope these codes are help will be helpful to you, and it will help you to learn all those things. Clear? Next is that again we have already done this particular thing, but just for your view that I will tell you again that if you are using the multi cache specific, then what will happen? Okay, so we have to mention in the this particular order. Okay, so what will happen? Now you see this order is correct or not? You are defining the journal form first catch. This is a journal form. Exception is your journal form catch over here. So which is not the right thing to declare all those exceptions. Okay. So how you can define this particular way? Arithmetic exception and the array index. So see when you will run this program, I have already discussed earlier also. But again for your this understanding, I am repeating this particular thing. Multi catch multi catch specific. Okay, so this is your multi-cache specific dot Java. I will compile this code. So see, there is an error. Okay, there is an error. Why so? Because we haven't followed the rule for that multi-cache. Okay, so that is the multi-cache specific. Most specific has to be right. Should be written first, and after that we can have the general form. Is it clear? So I think this topic was quite interesting, and you must understood a lot of concept related to your this exception handling. So if you will be interested, like so many students are giving me message that they want code for that. So I will also provide you code related to your this particular PPT. Okay, so if you are satisfied till now, can you please raise your hands? Because you know that some feedback is required if all these things are clear. I know programming part is quite difficult, but you just note down all those things side by side. It will help you later onwards when you are revising all those concepts. Yeah. So this is how we can use this particular thing. Now coming back to our PPT. So you see, we have done this particular thing multi-cache block, like how we can refer, how we can use. Okay, we have to specific if try block contain two exception, but only one exception will be executed. Okay, and its corresponding cache block will be invoked. So the next thing is that now see there is another program, like if we are generating, I'll just show you. Like here you can see over here that let's suppose we have a null pointer exception. Okay, but we didn't provide the corresponding exception type. So what will happen in such case? The cache block containing the parent exception class will be invoked. Is it clear or not? Now let's suppose this is your try block. Okay, so here you are having a null pointer exception, but you haven't mentioned this particular exception in your cache blocks. Like we have a catch arithmetic exception E, catch this array index out of bound exception, but you haven't mentioned this particular block over here. Now what will happen? Then your this particular catch exception E will be used. I just write this correspondingly with you that we have a like over here like this. Okay, so let's suppose I change this code over here. I have string s equal to null. Okay, So I'm just mentioning the null over here. And the another thing is that I'm printing system dot out dot println. So what I will do over here, I'm just printing the length of this particular thing. That is s. S is my this particular object, s dot s dot, that is length. I need to calculate the length, which is not possible. Why so? Because we are using the null value over here, that is empty. Okay, so what will happen? You see, this is my code. Okay, so I just need to check this particular code. I have mentioned the arithmetic exception, which is not possible. This is also not giving you array index out of bound exception. This is the null pointer, but you haven't mentioned that particular thing over here. So what you will do at that time, you see, now this will be the duty of this particular exception E. So this is the benefit of sometimes multiple cache block also, that sometimes if you skip some particular exception type, okay, so that will be the duty of this, the generalized form, that is exception form, to run that program. Clear? So you can see over here, you can have Java C, I just use that particular word. So I just compile this program. Okay, now what will happen? I will implement this particular thing. See, so parent exception occurs. This is the value I have given to you. Okay, so otherwise if I mention over here, that is E. Okay, so again I execute, compile this program. Just wait for a while. See, so when you are compiling this program, when you run this program, so see, you can see over here, this is the null pointer exception. I haven't mentioned that null pointer exception anywhere in this cache blocks. But then it will be the duty of the most generalized exception, that is this exception class, to print what type of error is there. Fine. So this was all about that how we can use this multi-cache block. So okay, so for today's section, this is that was all about for today's session. Now the thing is that, as you know that, like in this particular part 2 portion, we are left with this some of the topics we have discussed regarding the exception. We are left with only two topics. That is, one is the finally, and another is the nested try. Okay, and throws and throws. So I will discuss with that particular teacher with another class, that if we are able to complete all those things by through my videos, I can complete rest of the topic of exceptional handling, so that in your sessional you can get completely do this part 1 and part 2. Okay, so if there is any issue regarding the particular syllabus, then till now whatever we will done, or whatever the video I will post to you, that will be the syllabus for your session. Is it clear? So I will be providing with all those notes and everything, and I must say that you must go through my videos, or any topic if that we haven't discussed, or all those topics that are related with some practical portion. So I am sharing all those videos with you. Clear? So meanwhile, there is a last poll that I need to discuss with you. So this is the last poll. I'm going to launch this poll. You just check that. Okay, students, I will wait for another 1 minute or just hurry up. Okay, students, I am going to end the poll and I will share the results with you. So see, what was the first question? When an exception is a try block is generated, Java treats the multiple catch statements like cases in switch statement. So you have seen also that when we are using the multi-catch statement, only one catch statement can be executed. So it was to be like a switch statement. Okay. Next question is that most of the students have given the right answer. That's good. Next is that we are trying this particular code over here. Now, if you remember my all those well, what I told you earlier that if there is any exception like this particular situation, there is an exception because we are dividing the 20 with 0. So after that, no statement is run. Know that after that, what we this was a very first second program of the try catch in which I have shown you that once your particular error is there, then no statement is run in that particular try block. But in your catch exception, you whatever the statement you will pass. That is like here you have defined the custom message over here that is catch block. So your answer will be catch block. Okay, so this is not both these option division by 0 or division by 0 catch block, both these are the wrong options, but catch block is the simply a catch block will be printed over here. Clear? So this was all about today's class, and if you have any query you can raise your hands. So and if you feel like, first of all, tell me if you are completely satisfied with this particular this topic, that is exceptional handling. You can just raise your hands so that I can move further, and I will try to make that whatever the rest of the topics are left, I can make videos upon that, or we can discuss in another lecture. Okay, that's fine. I can see so many hands being raised, and now you just tell me if you have any problem regarding this particular topic or regarding this subject. You can raise your hand for any type of a query, because I think this is our last lecture before the sessional. So if you have any query related to your sessional or that of lab portion, at that case you can discuss with me. So Karthik is there. Karthik Chadda.
Hello.
Yes, Karthik.
Hello.
Yes, Karthik. Are you clear with the today's topic? Karthik, your voice is not audible.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Karthik.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Vijay. You are clear with today's topic, that is exceptional handling.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely clear.
Okay. So you previously you bought all those videos and that codes and notes related to your this particular topics.
Yes, ma'am. Abhinav arranged in a Google Drive and shared the link in the group.
Kindly ensure don't feel like that all those videos are not important, because most of some of the topics I am covering up in that video portion, because the thing is that
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have that some topics in the practical, obviously our whole subject is practical oriented, but in videos too we are showing you some practical demonstration of some of the topics, so that is required.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so meanwhile I will be also sharing
Okay,
with
ma'am.
you some of the these videos related to the practical portion. Like the some 2 3 topics are left for this exceptional handling, so I can use that particular thing. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, Lavpreet. Lavpreet is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Lavpreet. You are clear with that checked and unchecked exception.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So can you just give me in brief that what is that checked and unchecked?
मैम जो यानी अपने एक्सेप्शन के अंदर मेनली दो टाइप के अपने पार्ट्स लेते हैं।
Okay.
यानी ये क्या कहते हैं अपने
That directly those things that
जो
directly
यानी
inherit.
डायरेक्ट इनहेरिट कर रहे हैं उसको अपने एक्सेप्शन क्लास को जो थ्रो
हाँ, that are
वो वाले
checked
अपने
exception.
चेक्ड के अंदर आते हैं और बाकी जो रिमेनिंग बचते हैं जो
Okay.
रन टाइम
You
वगैरह
are
ये उसमें
understood with the different assumptions, not using that word assumption. You are different the base how we can use try catch block.
यस मैम।
We have discussed so many codes in today's lecture. So are you clear with all those codes?
यस मैम। यस
That
मैम।
when which type of a statement will run, that is very important in exception handling.
यस
Okay.
मैम।
The main purpose is same only. Try the code and catch the exception. But
यस मैम।
how you are using all those things, that is important.
यस
Clear?
मैम। यस मैम।
Concept is simple. Try the block and check the exception, catch the exception. Okay, but how you handle all those things, that is different. Okay.
यस मैम।
Yes, Mansimran is there. Mansimran Singh. I think he is sleeping. Yes, Sharan, are you there, Viti?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you,
Good
Sharan?
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Fine, ma'am.
So, Sharan, I hope you are implementing all those codes side by side.
Yes, ma'am.
You have done programs related to packages?
No, ma'am. It is still pending, but I'm
Pending.
trying to cover.
But that is also very important topic and very new topic in this your Java language.
Yes,
Especially your
ma'am.
import series. If you go through my videos, you can
Yes,
see
ma'am.
that how we can import, and this concept, all obviously all these concepts will be required in your projects only. Okay, so if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
are attentive and you if you are implementing all those codes side by side, that will obviously helping you in that your project.
Yes,
And I'm
ma'am.
sure that you will implement before your sessions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Simar Singh Walia. He is not there. Simar Singh Walia is there. Again, he is sleeping, I think. Dimanshu. Dimanshu is there.
हेलो
Yes, yes. Okay.
गुड मॉर्निंग मैम।
Good morning, Dimanshu. Good morning अभी हुई है कि सुबह 10 बजे होगी थी?
10 बजे।
पक्की बात है?
यस मैम।
अच्छा, कैसी लग रही है? How you are liking all these programs?
मैम अच्छे लग रही है।
अच्छे लग रहे हैं ना, देखने में अच्छे लग रहे हैं, but you are supposed to implement them also. Okay.
यस मैम।
Yes, this is a very immediate. You will be using this Java language immediately after this semester also in your that Android application.
यस मैम।
Okay. Yes. Any problem till now?
मैम एक टॉपिक में है
कौन सा topic?
मैम, वो स्टैटिक और नॉन स्टैटिक में।
Static methods and non-static. हाँ, वो ना actually directly it is not mentioned in that your syllabus. but I will try to make a small video on that also. ठीक है?
मैम कि एक ही
So
क्लास में कैसे दोनों को यूज कर सकते हैं?
static method or non-static methods को,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
I can, if you are able to understand that how we can use the static keyword, ठीक है?
Yes, ma'am.
Because static keyword can be used in method also, static keyword can be
Hmm.
used with the variable also, ठीक है? So this is how we can implement. If you are clear with all these things na, so static would be class also. So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is
Class.
how, if you are using, if you know how to use them against for any type of this particular, we can say the different variation, then you can understand that how we can implement a static keyword. Okay. So some
Okay.
visibility mode is also there. So I will try to either give you notes or I will just share a small video on all these topics. Clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Directly they are not used. Huh? Directly we are using static, like we are using public static void main.
Hmm.
So this is one of the method in which we have discussed that there is no need to make object for that particular thing.
Hmm.
Okay. So I will discuss in that video. You can go through that particular thing. You just remember the restrictions, that where to use what. That will help you out. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
ठीक. Okay. So it seems like there is no problem till now. Okay. So if you want to discuss with me any topic personally, or if you have any query related to any topic, so I will share with you. You can share your that opinion with me later on. And I think our session is on next to next Friday. है ना? Last paper आपका Java का ही है. So before that we have ample of time. So if you miss something, if you want to share with me anything, you can discuss with me later. And I will finally, before exceptional handling, everything will be coming. That is for sure. And with the exceptional handling, I just discussed that how much syllabus we need to include. So if we need to complete the full syllabus, then whatever the rest of the topics I will share with the help of videos. Okay. Thank you, students. Thank you once again. Thank you for your patience listening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.